I'm going to bring it back to the room. Adam and I. Do you want to see the beautiful place that we can sit and drink our coffee? Oh my God, it's so pretty. When the weather is nice, I love this outdoor living. And then I have actually I brought out all my tools. I brought out all of my silversmithing equipment to be able to work here. Okay, here I am in the sun, taking a little break. I'm just laying down. There's no one to bother me. And you know what I'm realizing? As an entrepreneur, you have to take time, not listening, not reading, not being busy in life. You know, so I'll tell you what I'm thinking about right now. I'm just laying here and getting a nice little suntan. Yes, you know, I've got my suntan lotion on. I've learned my lesson. But, you know, I'm just kind of thinking how to combine this whole branding program together. I'm really loving how this yoga is making this branding program so powerful. I mean, you know, to me, it's like you get signs when you're building your company or building your business that you're doing. You get these signs when you start feeling aligned and you feel so good, you know, so it's like, look, I'm building something so different with this branding program where I'm really, really trying to help align artists and entrepreneurs be happy and get to their space that they need to get to be able to build. And, you know, I'm so excited. I feel the alignment. I feel like this is really going to work in the world. You know, why is it that you want to do something that works in the world? I don't know. It just feels good to me. You know what I mean? It's like it feels good to me to be able to move on to this mentoring stage after all I've built in my life and all I've done. And, you know, people are like, why are you so worried about helping other people? But it feels good to me. And, you know, so maybe that's something that the universe is asking me to do, you know, literally. So in thinking about it that way. So as I finish laying here, getting my suntan, I'm just putting a lot of things together on how I'm realizing, like, I'm filming the yoga. My next step is to finish the book that I'm writing that goes along with this branding program. And then the next step after that is to take each chapter and film myself just doing a little lecture on the chapter, 15-20 minutes about the chapter. And then when I meet live with people, I can relax and just talk about what comes up, because all the information is really there, and just add fresh information or things that I see that I wasn't able to cover yet, you know. And that's what I do with my live meetings. And this is an 8-week program. You know, I really have some heavy 6 weeks to do, but I really decided to make it a little bit lighter on the front end and a little bit lighter on the back end. You know, and now it's like when you're building branding or business, for me, I'm realizing it's important to feel good about it, to love it, to be happy about it, you know. So I'm liking the way things are going. I just wanted to check in. I'm going to shut this down and finish letting my mind organize how this course is coming together. guys, I always talk about your surroundings in your work, because really where you live is important to what your work is going to look like. So being an artist is not just being in your studio. It's about walking around. It's about absorbing the world. It's about bringing the world to you and bringing it to your studio and turning it into, pulling it through, embodying it, pulling it through yourself, and creating something brand new. That's our responsibility as artists. Here's what my studio space is looking like. There's the entrance door. These will be glass French doors. I'm getting a wall put in right there so I can hide all my junk. Getting all new windows. High ceiling. And then I want this whole area to be completely open and cozy. So here it will all be enclosed. There's my whole yoga area, silversmithing area. We'll see. Oh my gosh, you guys, this was on my bedside. I built these yesterday, not the bracelets, but the earrings. Oh, these, I woke up and I was in love. There's something about these earrings that remind me of something new. Maybe it's these little leaf petals here, but you know when you're doing work and the plus sign that is for abundance, and I love the little hollow forms and the color. And these are ancient walrus that is from Alaska. There's a Native American guy that grabs that. But I had this little stack right here. I took this off. I was wearing these yesterday. And when I woke up and had these by my bedside, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm on the right track. You know how good that feels. Anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that. At this rainy day. Do you guys know why these windows are so beautifully and colored in this way? These are my windows in the factory. Here's the factory. These were all done in Toledo years ago, right in Toledo, Ohio, which is the glass capital. And these actually have lead in them. Oh my gosh, I remember when enameling, you still could get lead in your enamels. And you can see through the years, like these were put up 100 years ago when the Astor car was, the Astor car was here, the Templar car, and Ford ended up buying them out. But this whole factory here was the Templar car. So all these beautiful, beautiful old windows here, it's not actually insulated very well, but they all have metal in there, and you can see the beautiful patinas and how they're all so different. You know, there's not really clear ones. And look at this rainy day today. Isn't that perfect for being in your studio, getting work done? Why not? It is like black. So it's a good day. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. You know, as an artist, you like sometimes being in cold weather. I like the winters here in Ohio. That gives me time to cozy in and be in my studio. So I wanted to tell a little story about, I talked about the complexities of having too many tools, you know? So the nice thing is that I have 2 books to suggest to you guys. One, I want to show you guys this. I showed it actually in a few places. This is Indian Jewelry Making, Volume 1, and it's by Oscar T. Branson. This is so interesting because really it talks about how pieces were created by the Native American Indian people back in time. Believe it or not, look at this. This was from 1870 to 1920, and literally a bellow was used. Very simplistic. This is the whole setup right here. You could see what beautiful pieces were done. So when I talk about, we're so complex with everything that we have. Let's try to simplify. So I have a story too. I was just in Morocco and a little bit ago. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful to see the way people were casting. This casting was done. We went into this silversmithing area because that's what I like to do on trips. I have a trip coming in India in January, but they took the mud from the earth, the dirt, which kind of was like a clay, like a red clay, and they made it flat and they pressed an image in there and they put another piece on top, and then they opened it up, pulled the piece off. Now they have the hollow space, which is a lost cast is with wax, but now they've got the hollow space, and they just poured molten liquid right into it, silver and coin silver, they poured right into it. The crazy thing is, I think I have some photos of these, but their hands were right there. They trusted each other enough, and they've done it enough to know that they weren't gonna hurt another person. That's crazy, isn't it? So you could take pieces from the earth. It's like, that's what I have studied all over the world for so long. It's just the rawness of silversmithing, and how this can be simplified. I'm always looking at simplifying this whole beautiful craft of silversmithing. Like, that's what I like to do. So I've traveled and I always research the way metalwork is being done, silver, gold, all of that is being done. When I was in Indonesia, in Ubud, Indonesia, it was so beautiful. I went into this beautiful little tiny factory of people outside doing beautiful work. They just come to work without a shirt, without however they wanted to. It doesn't matter. They're doing their work. Wouldn't that be great to show up in our studios that way? Instead, I'm all dressed up, right? I actually had a meeting today. But so I was in Indonesia and we went inside, and this was just a couple of years ago. They were definitely using the bellow, putting it into a flame and to create heat. Oxygen makes your fire hotter. So they were using a bellow as a foot pedal, and it just blew this oxygen into their fire so they got a hotter fire so they could solder pieces. And it was so interesting. Guess that I also saw right outside the door on the property, they're growing these little berry trees, and they picked a berry. I have to get the name of this. Let me see if I can research the name for you. They picked a berry, and they would have a little pile of them on their table, and they broke up the berry and they used it as flux. Is that crazy? It worked as flux. It blocked the heat. So what flux does is flux actually prepares sterling silver. You don't have to use it with gold. Wherever your flux is, the solder can flow. So what it does, it blocks off fire scale, because some of the reasons you can't solder is because there's fire scale or your solder's not flowing. So flux will help your solder to flow, and that's its main purpose, to protect the metal, not create fire scale, and let your solder flow. So it was just beautiful to see that you don't have to rely on stores. I guess I love that freedom. You could pick berries, and I'm gonna get the name of these berries, but they're in Indonesia for certain. And they used that, and they all had tables, and of course it was social, because why should we be off on our own in our studios by ourselves all the time, right? So that was so interesting to see the rawness, and the pieces that they built were filigree. If you have seen some of my filigree work, I like to go into a culture and build like what's traditional, and then you take it and you morph it into your own and you make it your own. You don't want to culturally appropriate work that's being done in other places, but you can use that work and grow it. It's like, even if you decided you were going to build this pair of earrings or build something exact, when I have a workshop, people come in and they'll build it exact, But once you move into your studio, you're not in that same environment. You can't help but to start building this work as your own. And that's why, you know, when you work with a lot of galleries or anything, they'll say no student work. That's because you build like the teacher as student work. But once you get to your studio, you're in your own space, you're gonna build your own work, and that's who you are authentically, and that's your real work. So, if that makes sense. So another book I want to suggest to you that is amazing is this book right here. It's called Legacy. And this actually is generations of goldsmiths, silversmiths, metalsmiths all throughout Africa. And they have been in this field for generations. And they literally will have, like, you know, this probably right here was the collection of what one silversmith had in his studio and used. Maybe an anvil too, but that's it. They don't have the excess like we have. It's simplified. So it was really interesting. I always love looking at how to simplify it, how to make things easier, you know? It's like when I'm teaching with the butane torch that is for all, you know, you should see some of the torches in here. You should see the hammers. I love talking about this. The hammer, because a hammer has wood on it. Have you guys ever used a hammer so much that the wood gets worn out and it comes out, your metal comes out? Well, there's a man in here, a silversmith, who actually just works with it all day long, and then he soaks his hammer in water all night long. And then he comes back in the morning, the wood is swollen, and he can work his hammer all day long. And then it gets hot and he has to soak it again. So think about that. You know, I have a nice little collection of hammers here, and I definitely have my favorite. But think about a tool being passed from generation, 3 generations down, and how much respect and love you would have for it, and how much energy that tool holds for all of this beautiful work that's been done. So I want to give you guys a little challenge to go into your studio and give yourself a challenge of maybe doing some work this week and try using less tools. When you use less tools, your work can't help but to be more and more authentically your own. You know, every little step, when you have everything at your fingertips that I was just talking about, you know, it's harder for your work to look different than anyone else's, because everybody, the first thing they want to do is have all the anvils and have, you know, everything they need, which, you know, this is why I love teaching workshops when we're away, because the mother of absence is the mother of invention. So I sometimes, you know, usually if I forget something, I'll get stressed out like, what, I forgot it, you know, but necessity is the mother of invention. You have to come up with something else. When we have to do pickle, you know, pickle is a corrosive. I have shown up to teach somewhere and there was no pickle anywhere to be found. It takes off all your fire scale. It's a corrosive. So we actually had to mix a mixture of vinegar, lemon juice, and then you could even throw a little peroxide in there if you can get to it. Peroxide helps to get that fire scale off at super speed. And these are just all little kitchen recipes that are non-toxic. I like to work in a non-toxic environment. You know, when I do use an oxidizer, I'll use liver sulfur. That's that really strong smell that smells like rotten eggs. I'll use that because it's a non-toxic. You don't want to soak your hands in there, but breathing it, you're going to be safe. You know, I don't like using acids or chemicals anywhere. You want to keep your environment as safe. So this nomadic toolkit that you can find, if you guys are interested in the nomadic toolkit, that is all non-toxic. It's like a $300 list. I'm not selling it, but it gives you the links of where to buy it. And this is what I use when I'm on the road. This is what I ask my students to bring when they come into my studio to work. And it is, you know, you learn the art form. I got so quick. I could solder anything together, everything together with this torch. I did this torch for 3 years, nonstop, not even using an acetylene or anything else, to see if I could build anything that I want to. My work that I built in these 3 years went to Milan Jewelry Week and won an award. How crazy is that? You know, it's like my work was not rough. It was not raw. It made it better. I was doing even large pieces. Sometimes I would use 2 of these torches at one time, one under annealing it and one really getting in there and doing the finite work from the top or side. So, you know, I show a whole technique in Alchemy of Soldering. I think a lot of you people have watched that, but if you haven't, in here is Alchemy of Soldering, and it really is a whole philosophy on this nomadic toolkit where you can get in and watch and see the philosophy of soldering. It's the philosophy of soldering that you have to know. All you have to understand, it's so simple. I always try to simplify. When I started learning silversmithing, most of the secrets were kept so far away from you. People didn't want you to know because it was like a mystery, you know? And so when I started silversmithing, it was really hard to get information. In fact, how crazy is this story? I was one of the first people, like my number for Rio Grande is like 135 or something, you know, early on when Rio Grande was little. If you guys order from Rio Grande, I'm one of the teachers on there, by the way, but I taught a workshop in Albuquerque once, and Rio Grande, they used to show up at shows and hand out catalogs, and it was right before they were bought by this fortune company. And I met the owner of it, and he came into our workshop, and he was very grateful for all of us teachers passing Rio Grande's name out. Now they're so big. They've just grown and grown and grown. But they actually got, you know why they populated so quickly and why people loved Rio Grande so much is I used to call, you know, when I'd have a problem in the 90s with, you know, I'd call. It was before cell phones, before internet. I'd call up and I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm having a problem. My solder is jumping all over the place, you know? And they literally would hang up on you. They would be like, oh my God, this is a stupid question. I'm not even gonna answer you. So the silversmithing supply companies were real snobby. The silversmithing community, when I was here, about the time that I wrote Making Connections, which was in 2007, the reason Making Connections here, the reason why it was a groundbreaking book at that time, think about how old this is. You know, I just walked around in the world and I looked at architecture and I brought it into the jeweler's world. Hey, you know what? Here's the thing too. I always talk about, you guys, making your work your own and following your true heart. That's what I did here. I actually decided that I was going to self-publish. So I wrote all the chapters. I got all the photography done. I had a photographer come with me everywhere. And, you know, now doing it again, I did the sketches in here. I had beautiful artists in here. Now doing it again, I think what I would do is, there's Adam. Hi, Adam. Doing it again, I think what I would do is get really photos of like heating ducts. The way that I'm showing cold joint bezels in here because I looked at heating ducts. I went all over the world and I saw how to do hinging. So the hinging is stemmed from architecture, and then I brought it down small, which was so much fun. Talk about following your heart. This is what I'm talking about with your work. Not only your jewelry work, but yourself as an artist. Following your heart and doing your real work. So the pieces that I built here were crazy, but I used to do ethnographic repair for this really big gallery who had beautiful museum pieces, and she had a museum there as well in Chicago. And I used to do the ethnographic repair for them, so I found all different ways. Pieces back in time were built with cold joins and repair. Things just weren't thrown out, or if they're broke, stuffed in a drawer. They were done through time. So that was pretty cool. So when I put this work out here, I have to tell you guys, when I was ready to publish this book, most of the jewelry work around was you know, all these goldsmiths who were very, very snobby. Like, in fact, here's one of the statements back in 2007 during the Goldsmith Society talk. I can't even remember his name, but he said, oh my gosh, I feel like my talk was successful. I was only booed by 50% of the people. You know, it's like that's how hardcore the jewelry world was. We've come a long way, so please enjoy yourself. And I'm the one who's always here as a support system to make sure that you're going the right direction and you're doing the work that you want to do. And how can I do that? This one actually was so sought after. I self-published and I sold 20,000 copies, and it's endorsed by the head of the Goldsmith Society at the time, Tim McRae. I got really good comments from a lot of people who are all guys and in this field for a long time. I followed my heart, but I tell you what, you really know when you're on the right track, following your heart, when you're shaking in your boots. So right before this was published, I was shaking in my boots, you know? And that's because it was so different. I didn't see anything like it in the world. And it's all about talisman, my work. Many of the pieces in here had museum exhibits, traveled the world. This one here won an international award by Dr. Robert Liu at the time. And this one was went to the Renwick and the Smithsonian. This is the energy talisman. So it's like I built pieces out of objects from what I saw in life. I'm a traveler. I'm a studier of talisman and other cultures. So, you know, follow your heart. That's always what I say, and I'm always going to encourage you. And if you get chased down by somebody else, come to me, because I got you in an embrace. I've done runway. I've been on the covers of Vogue magazine, Elle magazine. I've won awards in Milan, Fashion Week. I have built multi-million-dollar lines of jewelry. I've built a product, $1 million product. So, you know, for me, it's like I really have this strength, and I can prove to myself over and over again that every time I follow my heart and go the direction that I feel I need to go, I end up being successful. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. So follow your heart. And I want to tell you guys, if you want to be a bigger part of my community, I've got Unfolding, which is my membership. And that I show up live there, and that is all about the community of artists and getting into our authentic space and staying there, you know, and being a support system for each other. We're all of us artists, we're the heartbeat of the world, and we are all like our own flower when we develop ourselves authentically. We all have a different voice, and like when flowers bloom, we don't take away from each other. Absolutely, we don't take away from each other, but we add to the group. So if you want to be in my group, it's Unfolding, and this is about feeling the power of a community, and it just gives you a little bit more of a safety net to move forward in your own work strongly and confidently. And, you know, because that's what we need. Like attracts like. Whenever you build your authentic work, your authentic people are going to come to meet you and join you. So anyway, I want to see some real authentic pieces out there. Please put in the comments below if you guys have some ideas on this conversation. I'm always showing you a lot of different techniques, and this is just me in my studio, and I just impromptu of what I'm working on right now. So I've been a jeweler, and I was trained as an artist. I've been a jeweler for 35 years. I've done so many different markets. I love markets. I build my business like I build a piece of jewelry. So it's just fun. You know, really being an artist and an inventor is about creating the world and the work that you want to create. When something starts feeling good, when you start feeling like something's working, that means you're on the right track and you're building your authentic work. So today in this one here, I want, you know, this is where I'm moving to, that I'm showing you guys. This is the direction I'm moving to. You know, people, and I'm building the shapes and colors and body of work that I want to, and this is what I always encourage for people. Sure, I have a lot of people that come up and say, oh, not very many people can wear long earrings. Well, it doesn't matter because I love building long earrings, and I will be able to sell my long earrings because I love them. I'm in here putting energy and passion to my work. So I've been teaching and selling my jewelry for over 35 years, and I've morphed into different stages, but mostly my work has been in talisman work. So, you know, I'm showing a lot of different connections and attachments, and this is the way my new work is going, and you guys will see. But today I'm just talking a little bit about leather work, a little bit about you know, wraps here, and really making your pieces your own. So I hope you guys enjoy the film today. I try not to wear my glasses at the beginning, right? Because we're jewelers. Your glasses, like, you know, my reading glasses or my Optivisors, you can't wear them or they conflict with your jewelry, right? So I wanted to show you guys what I have been making here. And I'm actually getting on to do a live in a couple minutes, so that's why I'm dressed up today. Normally I don't have my makeup all on like this for just a studio day, and I did want to put this jewelry on for you. I wear this after hours, not during. But I've been making all of these little end caps here, and I made, you know, some of the end caps are with granulation on the end. Let me show you some of my end caps. Where are they? Oops. I'll show you later in the photo. So some of these tiny little end caps, I've been doing a stack of like 2mm leather and just really making these chokers. I'm so excited about these chokers again. And one of the things that I used to work on, you know, I think I told you guys that in my past, I used to do wholesale for Nordstrom, and I would do all these little wraps. So I have these necklaces in here that I've been working on, chokers, that I'm super excited about. I have to put the endings on there, but you can see the work that I love doing with tassels. I love to have movement. See how there's a nice swing? You know, for me, it's like I love all this movement. I need clearings and a nice swing in here. I show, you know, I love working with natural material. Why not? If you think about it, you know, there's some people that hand carve wood and put it on a piece of jewelry. Why not just a stick? It's so raw. It's such a talisman for just, you know, having the earth with you, right? And then for me, I like doing these little wraps just to give you a nice color, make it secure on here, have it in the shape. Every time I do a wrap like this, I wrap prayers into my work. So it's like, they're really like blessings and words. And I know I've told you guys that I've been working on some of the talisman of freedom. So that's my, you know, really working in freedom and grounded, really working in grounded, because, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, as artists, we have to work so hard to make sure we're grounded. You know, we have to get our ideas from the sky and then bring them down to earth and work with them in that way. Here's a little simple beauty. You know, I'm going back to the old days of when I did these little, just beautiful little talisman with a lot of movement, a hollow form. To me, this little hollow form is holding that freedom again. You know, anytime there's fiber in my work, the knots in here, the little caps that I'm doing for these. I wanted to tell you guys that in a couple weeks, maybe in a couple weeks, I'm going to be teaching a beginning silversmithing online. It's free, and it really is just about making these caps. You can see how versatile they are everywhere, right? And again, you know, here's this color. I'm using these beautiful pinks now and blues. So the blues, of course, are for the throat chakra. The pinks are for your heart. So I'm so excited. I used to use these oranges and reds, and now I can't even tolerate these oranges and reds. I can a little bit, but mostly I'm doing the pinks, which means, woo, moving into, you know, all this tourmaline, your heart center, fossils. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of something over here in my studio. So come on over. I just want to show you a little bit of assembly again. I started assembly, so let's do that. Okay, you guys, so many people told me that you like messy. So here's your messy. I've been working hard this week. You know, I'm really trying to keep this schedule of working 3 days a week. just on my jewelry. So, you know, this is my golds. I showed you guys these pieces. I showed you guys the wraps. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you, you can see all my pinks and blues. So this threads, I put together these threads here, and I used to love working with just the cotton threads, and I am lucky enough, this one thread right here is the thread that I really roll, I can roll up a lot of prayers into. This one actually is, it's from a sheet of fabric, and it's metal fabric, and I love it. And I've been stretching these a long way because I'll cut a piece off of here, usually much longer, but when I twist it is when I'm really just doing my freedom prayers, whatever talisman I'm working on. And that's really how you're gonna work on a talisman. I went into Joann Fabrics and I loved, oh my gosh, you know, this one's longer, it has some green in it. I mixed my color here. I really loved these synthetic fabrics that just have these beautiful little glitzes to them. I've always worked with fabric and fiber in my work. Actually, I'm a fiber artist from the Art Institute of Chicago. But so in these little ways, I like to work with it in my work. So here is a piece that I put together. They're just glued in. There's really no other way to hold an end cap in there. I mean, sometimes I draw a bead to hold ends, like this one here. This is what I mean by drawing a bead. This one I draw a bead to hold in here, so nothing is glued. I've got this movement, but you always, you know, this is always done, there's a knot in here, and it's always done just with a little bit of glue. And I'll talk about glues a different day, but you can see how I put some silver in here, brass, bronze, whatever. Here's that cap again, you guys. This is my free workshop that I have coming up, is just really putting together these end caps that are so, so versatile for everything. So I wrapped together this bit here, and you know, I know that I'm gonna have a pendant hanging on here, so I don't wanna center this. Plus, I just like it off to the side. So I'm gonna actually just, sometimes I'll put a knot in it because I'm working with a short piece. And I can't tell you, you know, this is bulky, it's like clunky. It's clunky sometimes to do these wraps, you know, especially when you've got a mess on your table, right? Okay, so I'm gonna get this centered into place. And what it does, you know, you have to remember that when you curve your leather, you need a different shape. See how that is curved? These two pieces of leather sit beautifully together, side by side. Well, when I hold it out straight, they're not sitting side by side. So I have to make the decision and know when I cut my leather that I'm cutting it in a circle shape, right? That's something you don't realize when you haven't been doing jewelry very long. So through the years, oh my gosh, I used to do wholesale and retail. So what I'm gonna do, you know, sometimes I'll wet my fiber just to make sure. I know it's hard to see, but sometimes I'll just get it wet just to make sure that you know, that I can see the direction it's going. And then I'm gonna bring it back this way, just so it hugs really tightly. But I've got a knot in here at the beginning. Now that's about as far as I'm gonna go with this piece. So now I need to fill in the rest of the way, and I need to go towards my other piece because eventually it's going to end in a knot. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Let me see if this is long enough. Or this one, actually, if I wrap it upon itself, this is a beautiful one. I might just do a different type of knot today since I'm covering up this ending, and since I did start with a, fiber, you know, since I started with a knot, sometimes I don't start with a knot. I'm just gonna do a one-sided knot. Now, wherever I put the knot is where I'm gonna wrap also my ending in silver. See how beautiful that's gonna be? I used to, so here's my story. I used to, when I did this for Nordstrom years ago, I did a line of all these type of talisman and bundles. When I had my fashion company, Lennart Collection, I'm gonna do a double knot. And it's funny because the buyers, oh my gosh, they knew there was something about this that they love, something about my jewelry. And when they order pieces from me, they would just say, well, I love this and I'm gonna order this many. I mean, they order huge amounts, which was beautiful. Then they gave me more business by saying, okay, we'll take, we'll take more earrings and this and that. Can you somehow turn this into an earring? And then, but they were like, can you please hide your knots better? Back then I was in my 20s and I had my late 20s, and I had such a, I had such like a ego about me that I was like, what? They are not supposed to be hidden. There is the words and prayers that are wrapped into here, and that's how it looks. But I'm not finished yet. Since I have some metal up here and some leather and some fiber, I need to find a way to incorporate my metal into, I need to incorporate my silver or my metal, oops, sorry, I keep bumping this, into this piece right here for it to look like. If I'm gonna hang a pendant on my piece like this, if I just had fiber sitting up there, my whole piece would look like leather, fiber, and then boom, metal. So I always try to incorporate and marry in metal wherever I can. So that's, my objective here. So I'm gonna show you just how I'm gonna put my sterling silver on here too. Okay. You guys, for some people, I think some of the things that I'm showing you, it's non-traditional. And remember, I used to do a lot of wholesale. So, I find that people just tell me that it frees them up to do whatever they want to in their work. So that's what I like to teach, is just things that are inspiring. It's like, does it matter? For me, at this time, for this wrap, I'm gonna use a 22 gauge sterling silver, but it's interesting to me because I always have people contact me and they'll be like, wait, what was the exact gauge? Or how much exactly did you use, And it's so interesting because for me, I feel like it doesn't matter. Like everything that you do with your jewelry and your artwork and your real authentic work is about your own measurements and your own, yes, it's good to do at some point, but you know what? It's like, I think sometimes people get so afraid to start. So I always encourage people just to start. And that's my intentional metalsmithing class too. But also, don't get so hooked on how, look, okay, maybe I am doing 6-7 inches for this, okay? So there is 6-7 inches, but maybe the first time you follow my instructions, but the second time you have to start getting into your own space and really feeling like, okay, how long do I want it to be? And don't be afraid about using material. Oh my gosh, if anything, there's bronze, there's a beautiful bronze that actually draws a bead and is so beautiful too. So, as far as using materials, I used to use a lot of bronzes. Oh my gosh. I'm starting to use bronze again, but I used to use a lot of bronze. And one thing I would tell you is that my sterling silver pieces are priced exactly the same, whether they're bronze or whether they are sterling silver. It doesn't matter to me, Gold I'll price a little bit differently, but gold, you find people that like gold. I like gold, I love gold, but it's like more of when you buy gold, you want to also think of it as an investment too, So anyway, that's how people think of things. I like to wear stacks and stacks of little pieces. There's gold in here, there's silver in here. It's nice to have this little stack, and that'll be for a different day. But when you're doing your work, look, you don't have to follow exactly. It's like, here's my piece here. You can see how I have it in a circle. I don't have to even worry about the length of my choker because I can always add chain to the back. To me, it's like, ooh, it might be fun with this little piece hanging out here. Look, my fingernails are already dirty this morning. I just got started. Okay, so I'm using round wire, not that it matters, and I'm gonna draw a bead on the end over here, and then, I'm gonna hammer, I should hammer this out first, but let me put this back. Let me put this back. Okay. Here's my two pieces, okay, I'm just gonna draw a bead first because I think it's just gonna be easier here. So here we go, drawing a bead. I like to draw a bead right here on the ends because it makes things nice and neat. With sterling silver, you have to pop it in your flux. There we go, nice little beads drawn. Okay. Now I'm going to show you. You guys know my anvil. Whoops, should I clean it off for you guys? My anvil is a little bit messy. Here's my anvil. Here's some pieces that I was working on over here. It's a little bit dirtier. I have to get ready and oil this up soon. I have all kinds of things I'm working on here, but this actually isn't really forging this type of work here. I'm actually just going to be, I need my other hammer. This, I'm just going to be hitting it flat. This is, oh my gosh, I've woven whole pieces that were flattened out like this. When you hand flatten your round wire, you could do all kinds of weavings and it hugs better. You know, you're finding a material that's just like a thread. Once I anneal this, actually I have it in, I think chapter 8 in my Making Connections book, because you know, you can do all types of weaving, and when it's hammered out, you can buy flat wire, but when it's hammered out like this, you can see the beveled ends on here. I think it looks so much better, and I can use another opportunity to embed energy into my work right here, right? That's all. I'm just doing a lot of them at the same time normally. I'm over here. I've got my nice flattened shine. See that nice shine? And I'm just gonna, you know, sometimes you guys, I've done whole ounces at a time. I just bundle it up. It's nice and hard. When it's hardened, you really want to get it in and anneal it. So let me turn the light off so you can see. I have to be careful with annealing. This one is so tiny. See that? You could easily fuse it. You could easily fuse this. So you have to be so careful with the way that you anneal, because I don't want this fused, you know. This is so tiny. But when I do big stacks of this metal, you know, it works out pretty good, because I can, you know, I can have a lot, and I have a whole system here. I'll have to show you guys another time when I'm doing wholesale. Okay. I'm gonna bring you over and show you how I clean this on my wheel. Make sense? Hi. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm gonna bring you over to my wheel. Let's see if we can get over here with my setup here today. Usually it's a hop, skip, and a jump away. And here's my wheel. Let's see. Yeah, I'll show you a real close-up. Get the garbage out here. I'll show you a real close-up, because here's an interesting thing. Oh, my wheel is even dirtier, guys. I mean, I've showed you guys my wheel before, but here's the way that you clean. Get a little bit of polishing compound on here. Get a beautiful little piece. Now, you can't put wire into your muslin wheel, and I love using the muslin wheel. You cannot put wire into there, because it'll just whip around and hurt. You could get really hurt that way. So look at the difference. There we go. See that difference? Isn't that pretty? Now I'm gonna hold it this way. So that's the way I do mine. You have to be careful with these wheels. Very careful. I don't really like to let beginners, till they understand the wheel, because people have gotten hurt. There's much better polishers nowadays, but I learned, 35 years ago, and this is what I use. Okay. I have my gorgeous, shiny, polished piece. Okay. Distraction. Okay, now I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna pick an end on here and decide which end. I think I'm gonna do this right over the knot. And you don't wanna start it right on the end. I'm gonna start mine, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna start it right here. This could be clunky too, you guys, but once it's nice and shiny, just get my wraps in. And again, you guys, I wanna keep it in the shape that it is, and go back over however I wanna go over it. You know, I can put X's on here. I can put beautiful, perfect wraps. I can do loose wraps. This is all an expression of who you are, how you wrap your pieces. Isn't that interesting? I told you guys I would teach. I taught for so long, 17 years. I would travel and teach, and I would see whole tables set up that were, you know, all the creative people would sit at one table. Like Atrex, like all the like professional people. All the people who were really afraid to make movements and moves would sit at a particular table. So like attracts like. So I found, you know, everybody needs to wrap exactly how their personality fits them. That's what the work is about. Now when I get to this end, I'm just gonna take my end and I'm gonna twist it together right here. Just do a little twist and then figure out how I want this to lay down on my piece. I'll probably lay it over so it follows the same line as this little loose thread here. So then the loose thread makes sense, right? Every little thing has to make sense. Now, this end I could decide if I'm gonna put on there. I'm gonna go back in and polish up this end because that's exactly what it's gonna need, is a little bit more polishing. And then you guys, you'll see the end results at the end. But that's kind of the gist of, like, you know, really making your pieces your own. Don't worry about, you know, what the length is, what threads you mixed with it. It's all your color personality. It's all your length personality. It's all your gem personality. Every time you put your own hands into your work will become more recognizable as your own. Does that make sense? So you guys know when people say no student work, that means take a workshop. Yes, build the teacher's work because that's how you learn. But you know, when you get to a more advanced stage, you want to take that technique that you learned and morph it slowly but surely into your own work. When you're building a body of work, when you're building your own work, you are bringing your work 1 inch at a time closer and closer to what feels good for you and what is your own. And that's the only way your work can be recognizable. Don't worry about following all the rules. When you start following all the rules for what's right, what's wrong, what could be done, you know, it's like, look, I love building super, super long earrings like this. You guys are seeing all of this, these leaves and these little pods that and now I'm starting to put all these different connections in here, which I'll have to show you guys too. But you know, these are all like, I'm going 1 inch at a time into what is my work and what do I love embracing. These little connections here, when people wear these as earrings, they're not like stiff. They have a lot of movement and a lot of bend to them. All of them do. Because I don't want earrings, you know, when you see earrings and they just kind of get stuck and they go off a certain way, these, when they collapse, they can collapse and go right back into their shape again because they're built with connections. My book, Making Connections. But anyway, these are, you know, and also you guys, this actually, I'm showing you guys the silver work here. But remember, this book here is my recent one, and this is called Intentional Metalsmithing. And I want to let you guys know, this is amazing. It talks about building your own work, using the few tools. This is my whole direction that I talk about, using who you are, what you are, and expressing yourself. Now, I do have an intentional metalsmithing course coming up soon that I'm so excited about, that I want to mentor a handful of people through. It's very well priced. And it's about becoming yourself. If you are already a jeweler, you can learn all these new steps. It's like, for me, it's like I come from a direction of being an artist, developing your own work. And I talk about this the whole time. And it really is sharpening up your skills. Or if you're new to this, it really is where you can jump in and understand it. If you have been jumping around taking courses from different teachers or learning online or self-taught, when you put yourself through this string of workshops, I have so many good reviews on it. People have told me that they finally got it, like they're getting into their own work. I have such success stories from people who took the original intentional metalsmithing course, and it's under $1,000. So, and it's on a payment program too. So keep your ear open. I'm going to be talking more about this. It will be launching probably towards the end of August, end of August. So we're actually going to get it going soon. So if you are interested, just go ahead and you can give me a comment below if you're interested, and keep your ears open. And if you want to, get on my mailing list. You can get into the profile, get on my mailing list, and you guys will get updates on things upcoming too. All right, you guys, well, I hope you enjoyed just this little bit of my encouragement, where I'm always talking about making things your own and developing your style and getting into who you are and what you're about, because then it's fun. Oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun developing this work now because I love it. And that's what being an artist is all about. We are the heartbeat of the world. We inspire people all over the world. We're the creators, us artists. We have the imagination, and we're the inventors. And we can inspire if we truly, truly do our work from our heart on what makes us feel good. That's a talisman. You're bringing love into your work and pushing it out there. And a number of things will happen from that. One, you will be able to sell your work because there's love embedded in your work. And don't doubt that energy is not valid in your work as an artist. Two, you're actually feeling so good. You're making yourself feel good because you're walking into your studio and you're doing what you love doing. Three, creativity heals. You heal. Four, community heals. Oh my gosh, to be connected with a powerful and imaginative group of people really brings your spirit into such a place where you are powerful yourself. Like, the power of a group is amazing. So anyway, that's all what my community and intentional metalsmithing is all about. And you guys will be hearing more about it soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed this today. So in here, I just finished a beautiful Kundalini yoga technique called the Sat Kriya. And I just want to bring it up right now because part of this creativity program, part of me being an artist and me being, focusing and doing my profound work, I wanted to just, mention this a little bit. It's like I started studying really profoundly about 6 years ago after I sold ice resin. I started studying yoga, and then really I got a certification in Kundalini yoga, which is crazy because it's just really all this energy work. And, for me, I have been doing talisman work, shaman work, studies throughout the world. So this really made sense to me to add this Kundalini yoga training onto it. I didn't know how powerful this really is and how much it would change my life. It's crazy. So I bring this up, and I teach Kundalini yoga mixed in with creativity techniques in this unfolding program that I have. And, this month I'm actually working on manifesting and then into clarity. But the reason I'm bringing this up, Sat Kriya, I just finished a Sat Kriya for 30 minutes, which is so profound because you get such a high. Is that crazy? It's like when you hold yourself in one position, and you guys, I'm talking about sitting on your ass. You know what I mean? Like, we're not jumping around doing jumping jacks in Kundalini. It's really, sitting down, it's breath work. It's a lot of breath work, energy work. You're moving energy through your body. How does this help me as an artist? Oh my gosh, tremendously. When I clear like this, I'm on the biggest high right now as I'm talking to you. I don't know if you guys can feel my energy. I always can feel people's energy after they finish something like this. So, is holding your hands over your head. And to me, the only thing I can compare it to, is a Native American ancient technique. They don't do this anymore, but it's called crying for a vision. And oh my gosh, I'm going to have to look this up for you guys. But it literally was back in time where these Native American Indian men would cry for a vision, and they would go do something painful, like they would hook their chest and hang, literally, and not eat and get visions. You get visions. So this is just breath work and focusing on beauty and light, but holding yourself in a position for 30 minutes, just arms over your head. And so for me, I'm just putting this in here because I have it in I do this type of really profound work in my creativity. It's a membership for $25 a month, and it's this beautiful, beautiful energy and breath work and writing work and everything that we need for the artist way to work to be the artist, to be stronger as an artist, as a visionary, and help us grow. So anyway, if you guys, I just wanted to mention it. It's beautiful. I'm going to put the Satkriya in there this month. So if you guys want to check it out, try the membership for a month and get this same high that I have right now. Oh my God, it feels great. Okay, I'm back to finish up my yoga.